Imagine being Wyndham Clark on Saturday night. You have a 54-hole lead. You're obviously nervous about what the round entails. Are you going to blow it? You really got to win. You're tossing and turning, just trying to fall asleep. But then, a thought comes to you. Your two closest competitors, the ones who can challenge you, are Rickie Fowler and Rory McIlroy. He probably fell into the deepest sleep of his life. The Denver Broncos have hired former Saints head coach Sean Payton, baby. We're holding. Ah! What the hell is pimento cheese? Tom Brady has announced his retirement from the NFL. For real this time. Come on, kick the field goal, take the points. Win the game.
Oh, you have to say that.
See you later. Welcome to Ruffing the Passer, show where I talk football and miscellaneous stuff, and mostly football, and I'm your host, Sam Ruffing. Although at this point I should be saying and or mostly football, because honestly I've just been talking so much golf lately. Mostly because the NFL hasn't really been much news that I'm interested in. I mean, it's only in the middle of June, late June. And, what do I need to speculate on? Why do I need to speculate on what teams are going to do, how they're going to do? It's just too early to call. Nothing major in free agency has gone down. Obviously, Dalvin Cook's been cut, but no one signed him. Stephon Diggs is disgruntled, but nothing's come of it. Frank Clark was signed by the Broncos, sweet. But other than that, whatever. I'd rather focus on other things like golf right now, just because it's still active and it's in its peak season. But you know what was not in its peak form? Was the U.S. Open. Never have I been so disappointed by a golf tournament in my entire life. I mean, heading into that U.S. Open, I was obviously buying into the hype. I watched videos of the course. I heard LACC is so beautiful. It's in the middle of LA. It's like secluded. Very few people actually know about it. It has a barranca, whatever that is. And you'd think with all this hype and the 250 plus par threes that it would have delivered a little bit of a better U.S. Open. But no. It was one of the worst viewing experiences I have ever seen. The course did not play nearly as tough as I was hoping. I mean, it's a U.S. Open and it looked like an average tournament out there. The broadcasting was absolutely horrendous. The fans were boring and stuffy, and you know what? I'll get on to those disappointments later. First, let's start with the positive news coming out of the U.S. Open. Let's just stay positive. Rory lost! Wyndham Clark, the 29-year-old golfer out of Denver, Colorado, secured his first major victory on Sunday with a final round 70 even par to shoot 10 under on the tournament and take home the U.S. Open trophy in what is an absolutely feel-good story for him. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I knew who Wyndham Clark was before this tournament, but I really didn't know much about him. I knew that he was a golfer, but I didn't know, But after that tournament, I have become a huge fan. Maybe not a huge fan, but I've become a fan. And maybe it's the fact that he's not Rory McIlroy and he took him down. Maybe it's the fact that everyone in the Reddit U.S. Open discussion thread was rooting for him to fail like Mito Pereira. That really just made me want to root for him out of spite. Or maybe it was the fact that he hits, 180 ball speed on all his drives. But man, he just seems like a nice, easy guy to root for. I mean, from Colorado, that helps. Obviously adding another championship to the City of Champions to go along with the Denver Broncos, Colorado Avalanche, and Denver Nuggets, who have won, a championship in the last 7 years, so good for them. But yeah, I just found myself rooting for him because after his round 161, I looked up his stats and he was averaging 337 yards off the tee, which was first in the U.S. Open. I was like, whoa, who is this guy? I mean, he just showed up out of nowhere, and he's underdog. That also helps. But good for him. He didn't let the pressure get to him. He showed up. He played well. And yeah, maybe he's a little boring. But I mean, you gotta feel good for him, especially since apparently he lost his mother back in college, which is sad. He's transferred from Oklahoma State to Oregon. He's been struggling on tour for years with a beautiful swing, but no results. But then finally to turn it around, like getting either his first or second win at the Wells Fargo 4 weeks ago, and then becoming a U.S. Open champion when no one expected it, that's awesome. Congratulations, Wyndham Clark. You did well. And obviously it looked a little shaky there, especially on 18 when you hit the biggest slice ever. But because the fairways were so wide, the ball landed in it, you hit it onto the green and had a beautiful 60-foot lag putt to take home your first major. Congratulations, sir. You have earned this victory. Celebrate! And hopefully you're on the Ryder Cup team, because that would be awesome. Well, Wyndham Clark obviously won. But because of that, that also means that Rickie Fowler, once again, blew a 54-hole lead and cost himself yet another major victory. Dang it, Rickie. I've been a Rickie Fowler fan forever. I mean, he's just, golfer who wears orange. It's bright orange. I mean, he's fun. Gotta love Rickie Fowler. He seems like a really nice guy. But my goodness, what has happened? How does this keep happening? I don't know what it is about Rickie Fowler, but this is the 8th time he's blown a 54-hole lead. He's 0-8 when having a 54-hole lead. And you know what? I was really hoping that this time would be different. He would head into this major and just finally pull it off. Even though he's going to face some tough competition from, Wyndham Clark. I thought he was going to do it. I was really hoping he was going to do it. But no, just at the end, once again, Rickie Fowler blew it. And it's just like, what is going on? How has this man had so many, chances? He's come runner-up, and I think, in every single major. Like, you've had plenty of opportunities to win. It's just sad. Although it is his best finish in a long time, he is coming back. He is, on his way resurgence back. He was 180th in the world not long ago, so good for him. He had a good weekend. He had a good-ish round, but it's like, Rickie, you were this close. And man, that just makes me sad. It's like, what is it? I mean, at some point, Rickie, you just got to believe in yourself when you got 18 holes left. You can do this, man. You wear orange. Everyone's rooting for you. There's no pressure to blow it again because you've already blown it so many times. Who cares? You got this. If you find yourself with a 54-hole lead in the British Open, and if you're somehow watching this video, you got this, Mr. Rickie, Mr. Fowler. Another man who blew it this past weekend was, of course, Rory McIlroy. What a shocker. He came in firing off an opening round 65. Then he proceeded to have 2 semi-decent rounds and headed into the final round 9 under, 1 back of Wyndham Clark and Rickie Fowler. And he was tied with Wyndham for a little bit there until he headed on to 14. And honestly, I don't know exactly what happened because I didn't see the hole. But he has 130-ish yards left on his third shot into the green. And he pulls a wedge. And of course, because Rory doesn't actually practice his wedge game, he hits it short into the bank. and somehow is able to get a free drop pretty much on the fringe when he still somehow makes bogey. Like, I don't know what to say about this anymore, Rory. Like, I know people are giving Michael Block flack for saying, you know, if I had Rory's distance, I would be #1 player in the world. He's not wrong. Like, people are like, oh, are you saying that Rory's wedge game is crap? Yes, Rory's wedge game is terrible. Like, for goodness sake. I don't know what's happening with these long hitters, but they cannot hit a wedge to save their lives. I mean, Bryson obviously cannot hit a wedge to save his life. Rory's having trouble hitting wedges and putting. And it's just like, he did it again. And it's like, at some point, Rory, you gotta be a little more aggressive. I mean, it seemed like he was playing way too safe once again, like he did at the British Open, when he only had, you know, a 2-under final round on the easiest major course in the world at St. Andrews Old Course. Like, come on, man. I mean, Brooks Koepka played safe in the final round of the Masters. He blew a three-shot lead to Jon Rahm and lost. So he came back with the PGA Championship, and he fired off being aggressive, and he won. Like, at some point, Rory, you just gotta fire off you just gotta go for it. You gotta be a little more aggressive. I don't know why with your length, you can't hit the green, the 600-yard par 5 and 2, unless you missed the fairway, which you probably did. But I mean, Wyndham Clark was in the lead by like 2 shots at that point, and you know what he decided to do? He didn't decide to lay up. He pulled out his 3-wood, hit a high cut, what was the shot of the tournament, onto the 14th green to win it. He was like, I am taking this major home. That's what you gotta do, Rory. I don't know why I'm giving you advice. I don't want you to win. Because, man, your fans on Reddit are just the worst. I mean, they're not really the worst. They're not. I'm sure they're nice people. It's just like, everyone's like, oh, go Rory, go Rory. I'm like, have you guys seen him play? I don't know what there is to like. This man keeps sticking up for a PGA Tour, which disrespects him. Keeps calling out players when he should be focusing on his wedge game. I'm not, and obviously I can't believe people keep expecting the same, have a different outcome with the same person who's going about it the same way he does every time. I mean, he had 34 putts on Sunday, which obviously isn't a 2-putt per hole like he'd had at the British Open, but still, like, geez, man, you gotta make a putt at some point. Like, get your caddy in there to give you a line for a little bit. I mean, Wyndham Clark had his caddy read every putt for him. Like, I just don't know what's going on with Rory right now. Or has been for the last 10 years. And honestly, I don't really feel too bad for him after he decided to stick up for the tour. So, yeah. Rory blew it again. I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. He had a chance to win, and he shot a even par. He didn't... I mean, even Justin Thomas, who I am not a fan of just because of the way he plays the game, and he's been on a slump recently, went into that PGA Championship and took the bull by its horns and won. Even Phil Mickelson, at age 50, won the PGA Championship. He's won more recently than you have. Tiger's won more recently. Danny Willett's won a major more recently. So is Henrik Stenson. So is Brooks Koepka. Like, I just don't understand the whole Rory hype and fandom. It's like, what? Sure, he hits great off the tee. Yes, he's a decent iron player. Yes. But, like, you're going to have all that length and not learn to hit a wedge. I mean, Dustin Johnson's biggest flaw was hitting a wedge, and he learned to hit a wedge. Like, why are you rooting for this man? I just don't get it. And obviously, with all the Rory fans rooting for Wyndham Clark to lose, I am happy that Wyndham Clark pulled it out at the end. Just very, very happy. Are they gone? All right. I'm going to say it now. This U.S. Open was absolutely terrible. It just stunk. I'm tired of being positive. first, where do I even begin? LACC. Obviously, I mentioned earlier in the show how it was overhyped and all that, but like, my goodness, how the heck did that course get a U.S. Open? Like, sure, it's decently long, and sure, it's popular and in the LA area, and it hasn't been there forever, so fine. They did host a Walker Cup, but I expected so much more. Like, that course, there's not a water hazard on it. Like, how do you have a major championship course with no water hazard? Well, I know the Open doesn't have a water hazard usually, but still, like, no water hazard on LACC. Wide fairways, why the heck were the fairways so wide? Limited capacity, only 22,000 people per day. Only 22,000. Like, I swear there were more people at Live Golf Adelaide, which would have been a heck of a lot better for a major, I guess. And the golf wasn't hard. I don't know if it's the USGA's fault. I think it is, for telling LA to trim the rough, to keep the fairways wide. But my goodness, everyone's hyping up this course. Ooh, it's got 5 par 3s. One of them was a par 4 converted into a par 3. Ooh, it's got a drivable par 4. It's got long. And it's just overrated. I mean, everyone birdied the first hole. The second hole wasn't the hardest thing in the world. The third hole, everyone just hit at the same spot. Like, goodness. Number 7, number 8, you just hit it, and it's just, I don't even know. Like, I was told all this hype, it's going to be such a beautiful course, and it was alright, but man, that was just horrendous. Like, what I don't understand is the fact that it has a, 290-yard par 3, yet it has a runway up to the green? I wanted to see people, like, try and hit a driver onto the green and try and stick it. Not, like, hit an iron short and have it run up. Like, what's the point of that? People can do that, so who cares? What's so special about it? You have a drivable par 4, which was nice, I guess. That was one of the better holes on the course. But then you got the easiest par 5s ever, it felt like. And, you decide to have all those easy holes, but then the final 3 holes are combined 1,500 yards. It's like, what? Why were the last 3 holes so long? Like, that just takes away all tension. Because at that rate, the only way people can hope to win, like a Rory McIlroy, let's just say, hope that only way he can hope to beat Wyndham Clark is by Wyndham Clark making a bogey. But the fairway's so wide, it doesn't matter because he's going to hit it, so he can just hit it on the green 2-putt. There's no tension. Because it's way too long for anyone to actually hit a drive down there and then stick a thing close and make a birdie. But it's too wide for it to be too challenging for people to make par. Like, why? It's just a horrendous final 3 stretches, final 3 holes that I really hated. Because there's just no birdie opportunities. And I know Scotty Scheffler holed out for eagle, but that's lucky. That's not what's supposed to happen. What I want to see is more like what we had in Brookline, with a final hole that's kind of not too long. It was like 470, 460. But also had bunkers and was kind of narrow. See, that's what I want. So that if someone who wants to take it can hit a banger drive, leave themselves about 140 in if they hit it really well. Stick a iron, P-wedge, whatever, to about 15, 20, 10 feet and make a putt to try and steal it, like Will Zalatoris almost did. Or pull off a miracle shot if they miss it, like, whatever his name is, Matt Fitzpatrick. That's not possible in LACC with those last 3 holes, and that was one of my biggest gripes that I don't hear anyone talking about. But man, what an overrated course. Like, A U.S. Open won at 10 under? Really? 10 under? I mean, the rough wasn't thick, the fairways weren't narrow. Yes, the greens were decently fast, but that was, I mean, you had 2 people shoot 8 under in a U.S. Open? The opening round? What? How does that happen? That was an absolute failure. I mean, they should have had the PGA Championship played at LACC, because that would have been great. Because, you know, PGA, I feel like, is more a showcase of more interesting courses that are different and weird, kind of like Kiowa, kind of like Southern Hills, which aren't tough in the traditional ways, like extremely thick rough, or, you know, thin fairways. It's more just the course is hard for some reason, like Southern Hills or Kiowa, yeah, as mentioned. And the scores can be higher. The U.S. Open needs to be the toughest test in golf, in all of golf. And, Oak Hill did a better job of proving that than, you know, than LACC did. I mean, that place had thick rough, thin fairways, and was extremely long, and it was a fantastic course. If that had been the U.S. Open site, which it has been in the past, obviously, that would have been fantastic. I would have loved it. But no, they decided to go with LACC, and they're going back there in 2039? I hope they make some changes. First of all, changes to the logo. I mean, look at this thing. This is horrendous. Just horrendous. It's an ugly looking flag that looks like it was made in the 1930s. Ugh. This is the logo for the National Championship of Golf? This is embarrassing. I mean, look at this picture of, you know, let's say, the Country Club last year. Brookline, U.S. Open. See, it's a nice little squirrel. That's cute. I like that. Look at Wingfoot. That's weird, but it's different. It's still not this ugly flag. Man. More complaints. The crowd was absolutely terrible. Like, I know people complain about spectators yelling "Baba Booey" and, you know, mashed potatoes and "Let's go Brandon." Although I do like it when they yell "Let's go Brandon." That's just funny to me. But man, it really does make a golf tournament. I mean, there was no crowd interaction whatsoever. Like, it was so unbelievably boring. Like, an average live golf event is more exciting to watch just for the crowd alone than that U.S. Open. I mean, apparently the USGA or LACC limited it to 22,000 fans. That's it for your national. And apparently the members of LACC bought up like 14,000 of those tickets or something. So it's not even like open. It's for the elite private members of the golf club in the U.S. Open. And they were boring and stuffy. They were all on their phones. No interaction, just what? How? And if the USGA wanted this U.S. Open knowing that it couldn't host that, why did they pick the course then? Or just let more people on. Apparently they couldn't because it was too, you know, tight. Like heck, it was too tight. I don't know. Why don't you trim down some fairways, huh? You probably fit in some more people there. I mean, there's no. I mean, Brookline apparently only had 30,000 people per day. Yet it felt so much more engaging. I mean, maybe it's because Bostonians are actually good sports fans. As annoying as they can be, as annoying as Boston sports fans can be, you can't deny they're passionate. Can't say the same thing about LA sports fans. I mean, obviously they love their Lakers. They love their Dodgers. Other than that, I mean, goodness, you go Rams games are half filled by opposing teams. Chargers games are 75% filled by other teams. USC, obviously, but why LA? That was just a horrendous. The crowds were terrible, man. Just the crowds were terrible, and that really ruined the tournament. The broadcasting was somehow even worse, though. I don't know why NBC keeps getting these shizzing, crapping deals. I mean, I had to watch basically just featured groups for 4 days because because they wouldn't show the thing on Peacock Premium, and my antenna can't pick up NBC annoyingly. But Peacock Premium, I have to pay for that to watch the US Open. Last year you streamed it for free. For NBC. Something you can pick up with an antenna if you have a good enough one. But you'd have to pay for Peacock Premium to watch it? Are you kidding me? And apparently, the commercials were just everywhere. Like, no laying up apparently. Timed it, and they had like 19 minutes of commercial for every hour. One guy said he watched 9 hours of commercials. That's just terrible. You can't have that. Like, I know not every tournament can be the Masters, but could you cut down the amount of commercials you have? Could you, like, sell holes to sponsors so you don't have to have as many commercials? Something like that. Can we pump some of the Saudi money into the USGA so it doesn't have to be, so it can just be commercial free like Live used to be? Can we get the CW to broadcast US Open? The app's free. It's in 120 million homes in America. Why not have the CW host? I mean, sure, you'll get some weird teen drama shows and some really bad crime shows, even worse DC show trailers and commercials and whatnot, but man, that would be so much better than the NBC. And the commentary was mid to bad. Apparently, Paul Azinger is weird. Brandel Chambly had to review Phil Mickelson's swing, which sounds interesting. But I just cannot believe how bad that was. Like, I have to pay what now to watch this? If they pull the same shenanigans with the British Open, I'm going to go berserk. Like, just unbelievable. The Masters has figured this out already. Sell your sponsors to IBM, have them run an app, watch whatever you want. I know that you'll lose out on $90 million, but still. Or heck, sell the streaming rights or whatever, the broadcasting rights back to Fox or something, or CBS, or just get somebody new. Like, that was an embarrassment. Now I understand why people are mad that they're going to be broadcasting a playoff game on Peacock. Jeez. What was with the darn plane? Could someone please explain to me what the heck that plane was doing there? Apparently it was brought in by NBC and it was flying like a high noon, banner behind it. But it was there 4 days of the broadcast going like it's an air raid siren. Like it's London in 1940s and the Blitz is happening. Just flying around the entire time. You can hear it because the crowds don't say anything so they can't drown it out. Oy! That was annoying. I just can't believe how terrible that plane was. Who thought that was a good idea? Like, my goodness. I don't ever want to see a plane flying overhead or hear a plane flying overhead at a US Open ever again. You understand me? Goodness. Do I have any more complaints? Yes, I do. Why were the fairways so dang wide? I know I touched on this earlier, but like, they were just unbelievably wide and not punishing whatsoever. Like, there were no fairway bunkers that were really reachable. And they just allowed people to hit it far and erratically without being punished. I mean, on 18, Wyndham Clark hits this massive slice. Like one worse than Mito Pereira hit at the PGA Championship. And it stayed in bounds. Not only in bounds, but stayed in the fairway. And he had 190 yards left in. That's not how it should go at a U.S. Open. Like, if Mito Pereira is playing the PGA Championship there, he's winning that thing because he just hits it there. Like, I don't know whose idea it was to keep the fairways that wide, but that is just a huge mistake. And just unbelievably ridiculous. The U.S. Open needs to have tight fairways, thick rough. I don't understand how it's this hard. Like, my goodness. Just unbelievable. And the fairway bunkers, like, were so far out, nobody was going to get to them. Or they were so close, nobody was going to get to them. Like, why have fairway bunkers? This just was such a terrible setup. Just unbelievable. Don't ever allow LACC to host a major until it makes some changes. Man, that was awful. I guess I have one more complaint. What the heck's up with Max Homa? Like, I hear people raving on about Max Homa. Ooh, he's so funny. Ooh, he wins all the time in California. He has the course record at LACC. Let's see what happens. He's going to win this week. He missed the cut. Like, I don't have any real reason to dislike Max Homa, besides maybe he's a little bit anti-live. But I just don't like him. I don't know, there's something about him I don't like him. Maybe it's just his fans are overhyping him. All those homosexuals. Yes, that's what they call themselves. Just overhype him, and man, he's been in how many majors, and he has only, what, one top 10? Like, I just haven't seen a player so hyped and be so disappointed. Be so disappointing. And it just kind of bugs me and frustrates me, and I just want to get that out of the way. What the heck, Homa? Stand up for yourself and be a man if you're going to have all this hype surrounding you. Before we leave, I would like to get on to how my predictions went. So I made 6 picks before the U.S. Open started on who I think could win. And 5 of them made the cut, so that's good. Sadly, none of them won. But here is how they finished in order. Number 1, Scotty Scheffler finished tied third. Solo third. At 7 under on the tournament, so good for him. He had 4 decent putting days. If he had one great putting day, he would have won, like I said. Number 2 was one I was not expecting to finish as high as he did. Cameron Smith finished 4th, ahead of Rickie Fowler. And he played really well this week. He just got a little erratic off the tee. But other than that, yeah, he played decently and is looking hot heading into the Open, so did decently with that one. Number 3 was Brooks Koepka, who didn't really play that great, which I was a little surprised by. I mean, I didn't feel confident about Brooks heading into this, but I also it's Brooks Koepka. I'm going to pick him. Bryson did start out hot with a 3 under, but then he just kind of faltered. I don't know. His short game is still an issue. His iron play is still definitely an issue, and he just doesn't hit the long driver enough. Like, he needs to hit the driver. Just pound it, man. That's what you're good at. Pounding it and just plopping a wedge on the green, maybe making a putt. Like, he messes around with hitting the shorter driver, a 3-wood, sometimes an iron. It's just like, what are you doing? That's not what you're doing when you won. I know you're trying to chase your 2018 form when you won 4 times on tour. You didn't win a major in that time, though. You won a major when you hit it far and stuck a wedge close in 2020. That's frustrating me a little bit. And Cameron Young, disappointed a little bit, but he didn't play well last year's U.S. Open, and now he's just kind of a last-minute pick I threw in there. And then Jordan Spieth missed the cut, and, well, oh well. Spieth was really a wild card for me. I was just kind of hoping maybe, and I'm like, you never know. He could be up and down, but he he just didn't have it this week. Played a little tough, couldn't keep it in control off the tee. Is what it is. This has been Ruffing the Passer, the show that has talked golf, miscellaneous stuff, and/or football. Mostly football. I have been your host, Sam Ruffing. Wait, what? I have been your host. That's weird. I don't like that. I am your host, Sam Ruffing. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, hit the like button, share it with your friends and family, and hit the subscribe button to never miss an upload, and hit that bell to stay notified when all uploads are uploaded. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you later. Good day.